Nigeria's war against corrupt practices in public service domain is moving into higher gear. This is a strive by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) to ensure public officers are held to account in service provision for stability in government and economic development. Transparency Files is the name of the platform in our quest to monitor, create awareness, set agenda, and ensure citizens come to terms with reality that corruption is the bane for the collapse of our individual and collective values for a strong and viral nation. Transparency Files is it, a program produced and sponsored by ICPC, showing on the network service of the NTA every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Keep it with us as we track public finance, ensure accountability, investigate complaints, and prosecute corrupt practices and vices in public life.
There should be a change of attitude. If we can decide to be corrupt as individuals, we can also decide to say we're not corrupt.
I noticed that everything we have has to be paper done, manually done, and everything. But when you digitalize, the first line of contact into the system can be traced back.
Hello viewers and welcome. This is Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am Murna Barnabas Atiai. Corruption is a form of dishonest or unethical conduct by a person entrusted with a position of authority. It should equally be understood that corruption could be a misplaced sense of values, lack of honesty and ethical standard in government and private affairs. Corrupt practices occur on different scales, such as petty corruption, which occurs when people exchange little amount of money or gratification for unmerited advantages, while grand corruption involving the abuse of high level of power, those in top government positions for their personal benefits. It affects government institutions on a larger scale. Today on the program, we shall focus our attention on systemic corruption, which occurs due to procedural weaknesses, providing opportunities for individuals and officials to act corruptly within that system, and also how it could be prevented. In the meantime, Ruth is standing by with details of anti-corruption.
Welcome to the segment on anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Awudi. ICPC has arraigned 3 staff members of Ekiti State Teaching Hospital over allegations of forgery and deceit. The 3 staff members, Mr. Fatuki Adebayo Paul, Mr. Babalola Idris Adebayo, and Mr. Afolayan David Ayodele, were arraigned before Justice Lekon Ogumoye of the Ekiti State High Court. ICPC arraigned the trio on a 6-count charge bordering on forgery of a document contrary to and punishable under Section 467 of the Criminal Code Act Cap C28 LFN 2004, and knowingly and corruptly giving a document with false information with intent to deceive the principal, contrary and punishable under Section 17, subsection 1, subsection C of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. All the 3 defendants, however, pleaded not guilty when the charges were read to them. Counsel for the defendants, Mr. Rotimi Adabembe and Mr. Busayo Sule, separately prayed the court to grant their clients bail on liberal terms, having entered the not guilty plea. Counsel to ICPC, Mr. Kehinde Adetoye, did not oppose the bail applications filed. Justice Ogumoye thereafter granted the defendants to bail in the sum of 2 million naira and 2 sureties in like sum, one of whom must hold a directorial position within the Ekiti State government, and evidence of their residence within the jurisdiction must be confirmed. The case was further adjourned for hearing. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Murna. Stay with us.
Fellow Nigerians, do you know that constituency projects are actually your projects? Do you know that constituency projects are funded by the federal government? Do you know that you can track release of constituency project funds for projects located in your constituency and follow up to know how they have been executed? Constituency projects happen because government does not want to leave any community out in development efforts. You have a responsibility to know what constituency project has been planned for your community, how much has been allocated for it, and whether value for money has been delivered. Take ownership of constituency projects located in your community. Protect them because they belong to you. Government knows about your needs and is planning for you. Government needs your help to ensure quality delivery. Know that constituency projects are actually your projects. Protect your constituency project. My constituency, my project.
For information on funds allocated to projects in your constituency, call 0800 2255 4272.
This message is from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
You're watching Corruption Must Go. Section 6B to D of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000 provides ICPC the mandate of studying and reviewing public systems, practices and procedures that aid corrupt practices and other related offences. The corrupt public servants exploit weak systems, opportunities, and ethically and technologically challenged institutions to engage in corrupt acts. We spoke with Mr. Godwin Oche, Head, Planning, Research and Statistics, ICPC, on the Commission's effort in checkmating systemic corruption.
Systemic corruption is a situation in which many components of a system or government or organs of government that are put in place to check corruption are themselves corrupt. Causes of systemic corruption are numerous. It ranges from conflicting incentives in the system, in the workplace. It also includes exercise of discretionary authorities or powers. It also has a lot to do with monopolistic tendencies, where single individual or few individuals have control over most of the decisions, and they are not questionable. It also could be caused by lack of transparency in the system. When a system operates, especially those with that confers a lot of advantages or benefits on people, are in place, and the procedures for assessing or interrogating such systems are not clear, it gives room, a lot of room or opportunity for systemic corruption to take place. A lot has to be done to change the psyche of the people. We have institutions that are primarily given the responsibility to do that, the National Orientation Agency and the likes. They are doing a lot, but a lot still needs to be done. On the part of the Commission, we are also doing a lot of advocacy. The Department of Public Enlightenment and Education has a whole lot of activities they are doing, sensitizing the public on the evils and ills of corruption, right from even the formative ages like primary school level, secondary school, up to tertiary institutions, and across the various segments of society, organizing public fora like town hall meetings, village square meetings, working with civil society organizations across the country. Those are areas where I think systemic corruption can be dealt with.
Corruption not in my country.
Hi. We are here for registration.
Can I have your number, please? 49.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 just left my office now.
So?
It is number 3 Stone.
Are you saying I have to be on the queue? Do you know who you're talking to?
Our policy says we should queue. Madam, it is high time we started doing things right in this country. Next, please. Turn around.
Mr. Brief, you really need this money for a new pair of shoes.
That notwithstanding, I shall not be bribed. This is corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
According to the UNODC 2010, crime prevention saves time, lives, and resources. Crime prevention considers social vulnerabilities and weaknesses that influence crimes. ICPC has developed coherent anti-corruption policies to identify the causes of corruption and commit coordinated and effective measures to address the causes. How is the Commission bracing up in the implementation of the system study and review, corruption risk assessment, and others? Again, Oche Godwin speaks.
The ICPC Act is one of the most robust piece of legislation put in place to deal with corruption. It takes care of several aspects of the fight against corruption. First of all, there is the enforcement side of it. And then there's also a robust preventive mandate where ICPC goes to organizations, look at their systems and processes, and where in its thinking there are opportunities for corruption, ICPC will identify such and direct that such vulnerabilities or loophole for corruption be plugged or removed. It also has the power to direct chief executives and operators of the system to effect such changes to bring such a system to sanity. All this in addition to the massive public enlightenment campaigns and sensitization and education we do.
Let us hear what stakeholders have to say and the way forward in tackling systemic corruption.
So I'm an advocate of advocacy, and I believe that before something happens, there has to be awareness regarding that issue. I believe that if everybody knows about corruption, knows the ways and the forms which corruption goes into the system, they will understand how to fight it. So 100%, it begins with creating that awareness, and not just institutions creating awareness, but even individuals creating awareness. Because you may know of a form of corruption that has happened to you, speak about it, come out and say something. Because once the voice is already out there will be change, and there will be positive change.
So for me, I think there's need for more collaboration between government agencies, the ICPC, EFCC, the courts, the judiciary, the police, and every other law enforcement agencies. I feel when there is collaboration, there is partnerships, we can join heads together and see how to discuss ways whereby we can stem this issue of systemic corruption within the public sector.
Attitudinal change, okay? It's beyond, there should be a change of attitude. if we can decide to be corrupt as individuals, we can also decide to say we're not corrupt. Okay, let us demand that the right things are done, follow the right procedure, and then I'm sure corruption will be reduced to the barest. Yes, we know that it cannot be eliminated, but it can be reduced to the barest minimum, just by a simple change in attitude, change in behavioral patterns, and then you'll be surprised what the results will come out.
Corruption, as you've mentioned earlier, is endemic. One of the ways is to build institutions. We should be able to build institutions that can stand, not minding interferences. Because one of the basic challenge we have in Nigeria is interferences from the top, management levels and others. But once we have an institutions that cut off all these interactions with the top, you need something, you just get it on merit, not minding whoever is there. I think one of the ways that we can fight corruption in Nigeria.
Number one, digitalization of all our processes. I noticed that everything we have has to be paper done, manually done, and everything. But when you digitalize, the first line of contact into the system can be traced back. So when you now have checks and balances, at the end of the day, you have a way of tracing. There will be traceability from beginning, from the first line to the last person.
I am a Nigerian, a highly cultured race. My culture abhors corruption. And with my integrity, a new Nigeria is possible. I say no to corruption today to build a future for my children. Join me and imbibe the culture of integrity to build a Nigeria of our dreams.
Young people are important agents of change in the society. Often overlooked, they offer a chance to reshape norms and bring about reforms. They constitute more than half of the population, so their power is immense if only they realize it. Welcome to this segment. I am Murna Barnabas Atiai. How can youths galvanize the society to combat corruption? I spoke with Zugwai Tagwai, development expert and a youth activist. So we're now asking, given the appetite among the young people for fighting corruption, how can they channel such energy to fight corruption?
The first thing I would say is there is a reason why we have young people with energy.
Mm-hmm.
Young people do not just have energy that is misdirected, but then they have energy that allows them to come with fresh perspectives to issues. They have energy that allows them to be creative and to be able to think thoroughly and analyze issues critically from a point of view that is not the norm. And this helps in ensuring that they are knowledgeable about things. The crop of young people we have today especially are not just bursting with energy, but then they're going into in-depth research on things that are valuable to not just them, but the society at large.
Mm-hmm.
They are finding out what the system is supposed to be as opposed to what the system is today. And that goes a long way in ensuring that they are able to see the gaps, they are able to project these gaps, they are able to still sit down and come up with very practical solutions that will address these gaps. How are they using this energy to address corruption? By working in collaboration. The young people we have today use this energy they have to collaborate with one another. We have a lot of young people in different spaces, public sector, private sector, the CSO space, and even the normal citizens who are not attached to any body. Young people who every day are coming together in groups, in associations, alumni, trying to see how can we address this issue, call out gaps that we're seeing, demand accountability using the different tools that the system has provided us. I know for a fact that a lot of young people have leveraged the Freedom of Information Act, whether they are working in organizations or as individuals, asking these processes that are supposed to be implemented based on certain policies that are provided, how have they been implemented? Who has been engaged? What timeline has been used? What are the results? And why are we not seeing the evidence? That's not what we're asking
That
for.
will lead us to the next question. We said young people are heavy users of the social media. Now, how can they channel their energy into asking or fostering accountability and transparency in governance?
Well, like we call them, young people and youths of today are digital citizens. We pretty much live on social media, whether it's the formal or professional media, which is LinkedIn or Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is. Over time, we have not just leveraged it to engage and collaborate over spaces, but we have engaged so that we're aware of things that are working right in other climes, so that we're able to now amplify our voices based on evidence of things that are possible in our own communities. How do we call and demand for accountability and transparency? We put out things that are working. We have things like budget and tracker, tracking constituency projects, tracking budget allocations, saying, oh, governor of so state, local government chairman of so, you said that this is how much was allocated to this community. You said this is the address where this project is supposed to have taken place. This is the money you said was allocated. We are not seeing it. Or so far the road project has started, but then it's left undone. This is what we're using social media for, amplifying these things, ensuring that we even have community representatives. So there are citizens now that are like citizen observers and reporters that can easily take a picture of projects that you feel should be addressed, that are not being addressed, or issues you feel or challenges that the system needs to have put their attention on, and then you highlight it. We have public hearings. A lot of times these call for public hearings are being put, but people don't know about it. Social media is used to amplify these things, so citizens know that they have a right to engage. We also have Twitter Spaces. These days, I would also say that a lot of government representatives now have started seeing the importance of honoring invitations for things like Twitter Spaces, where they come on board, they're being asked questions on what they're doing, how they're going about it, how they're engaging citizens. And for a fact, I know that we can also relate to some policies that came up recently, where because a lot of citizens decided to make it known on social media, it was stepped down in the House because the citizens were not okay with it.
Thank you, Zugwe. Our time is up. You will have opportunity to say more. When corrupt individuals are allowed to get away with their bad deeds without being punished as they should, other greedy people are encouraged to follow suit, making it a social norm. Let's join hands and say no to corruption. Report any act of corruption to ICPC through our social media platforms or call 0800 call ICPC. You can also watch us on our YouTube at ICPC Nigeria. See you again next week. I am Murna Barnabas Atiya.